What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another forecast here by meteorologist Aiden Brother Forecast, and this will actually be a video I've not made in a while, something severe weather related. And I will make another video on Orlina later this evening, so I'm not done with that, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But this is going to be an early prediction and discussion on what I think the 2021 tornado slash severe weather season will be like as it's nearing spring here, and of course as well as summer. So I definitely think this could be a potential very active tornado season here, based on what we've already seen an early start, and as well on the atmospheric conditions with now and in the next few months. And I'm going to start comparing this season's outlook and this year's atmospheric conditions to 2011, which can arguably be one of the most active severe weather seasons on record. But if you guys like severe weather, be sure to subscribe, because as we get later and closer to the spring, I will have more severe weather related videos here. And this is going to be my first actual preliminary forecast on exactly what I'll expect. So at the end of the video, I'll actually have a map on what I think who I think get the worst severe weather throughout the year. Again, it's still a few months out, so it really won't be the most accurate. But let's go ahead and see what I think had happened this year and exactly comparing it to past very active seasons. But without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so first what I'm going to show you right now is what we have so far for the ENSO outlook for this basically summer here into just the other forecast for January here. On what we expect in the next few months throughout the year here. So as you do see, look at this. We are right now at a La Nina, 100% chance continuing through December as well next month. And then through next month in March, we have up to a 95%. So you can kind of see we have a very high probability, well over 50% chance all the way up to April here. In April and May could be most of the most active months of the tornado season and severe weather season. And once we get now into near now April, May, and June, we start to get now at a 50-ish or a higher probability for a neutral. You're probably wondering why I'm showing you this. Well, let me show you real quick. So you just see between December and April, we have a very high percent chance of seeing a La Nina. Obviously, it's already passed. We already passed December. Today's the last day of January. So next month, we have around a 95% chance throughout next month in March. And then once we get now into near May, we get to really around a 50% chance or just around 50-50 chance for La Nina or neutral here. Gray is La neutral and a blue is La Nina here. So I want to show you something real quick. So there you see, keep this picture in your head and let me show you 2011. This is exactly what they had February of 2011. So this was before the spring, and this was made January 2021. So almost as exact identical month wise. And look at how similar they are. Look how similar. Look, see, obviously February, March, and April has a 95% chance there. Look at that. And then February, March, and April around an 80% chance. You can kind of see we are having a high probability. And once we get now into the later months, May, June, July, you got more of a higher chance for neutral. So you see the neutral takes over once we get into the summer. So we are seeing the first three columns between February and around March and May seeing a very high chance for La Nina. Same thing for this year, all the way up to around May. And once we get down to the summer, you see a higher probability for a neutral. You can kind of see it's quite similar. You see 50% chance for a neutral after March or May, all the way up to January into 2012. And look at this here. We have almost between starting to now April or around actually May all the way to October, we have a very similar probability for either neutral or La Nina. So it's actually very similar. Obviously it's not identical, but it's quite scary. It's very similar. It's around 80-ish% similar here when you see the neutral taking over at a higher probability, almost in the exact same months there. You see obviously El Nino has the lowest probability. So this is 2021, 2011 here. So 10-year difference here. So exactly something very interesting here what we are going to be seeing here. But as well, let's see, go ahead and show you the probability of La Nina, neutral, and El Nino exactly. So there you see 100% chance because that already happened, but into now January, February, and March, 96% here, and that's, go ahead and see February, March, and April, 94%. So just a 2% difference into now February, March, and April. There you see 78% chance, neutral at 22%. There you see, look at that, 23%. Very, very similar here. Let's go ahead and check March, April, and May. March, April, and May, 74% chance. This is more a 57% chance. Now into April, May, and June. April, May, and June. There you go, a 49%. And this is a 43%. So it's quite similar here. The neutral obviously kind of takes away a higher probability. Look at a 55% chance between April, March, and June this year. They're at a 42% there. So very similar. El Nino, of course, a very low probability of actually occurring here. Now, May, June, July, 30%, 35% chance for La Nina this year. And then May, June, July, 34%. It is almost identical, 1% off, guys. 35% this year, 34% this year, and this ended up being one of the strongest La Nina years. 2011 was one of the strongest and warmest La Nina years on record here. So the fact that we are in a deep La Nina right now, we're seeing very similar probabilities here. Let's go ahead and check all the way to August, September, and October. 44% chance for La Nina. And then like 26%. Obviously, 2011 kind of became a difference, but we don't really care about August, September, and October because obviously that's still somewhat. You see some decent severe weather, but the main months we really want to watch out for is really between March, April, and May. Actually, as well, kind of these few months: February, March, and April, May, June, July. These are the 4 areas you really want to keep in mind here. Look at that. These are very similar: 94, 74, 49, 34. Oops. And then you got, obviously, these are the ones you really want to keep in mind. This is 2011, of course. And look at this. 100, 96, 74, 57. Very similar here. Obviously, that doesn't exactly mean we're going to be seeing a potential very active season. But let's go ahead and show you something else. So here's looking now at the SSTs we are seeing right now in the Pacific as of January 31st, which is today. So you do see we are at a very strong La Nina at around negative 0.7 here. So a decent La Nina. Not extremely strong. We were actually at a very strong La Nina earlier in the kind of earlier seasons. Actually, early January, we were at a very strong La Nina near negative 1.5, something like that. But look, there you see a very cold La Nina or El Nino 3.4 region there. We're seeing a warming Nino 1.1 and 2 region. However, we are still seeing those very cold temperatures all the way from the southern South American coast there, all the way to the central Pacific coast there. So you do see these warmer temperatures in the northern Pacific there near Hawaii, and these warmer temperatures in the southern Pacific, but it's the central Pacific that really matters. A cooler central Pacific there, and that's going to be leading to some warmer Atlantic. So that's exactly why a La Nina is a lot more favorable for hurricane seasons, active hurricane seasons, because it's going to lead to some warmer Atlantic SSTs, while we see some cooler Central Pacific SSTs here. So look at this. This is 2021 right now. Look at take a deep look at that, and this is 2011 here as of February 3rd. So we're almost. Tomorrow's February 1st, so it's almost exactly 10 years. But look at that. Obviously, it was a lot stronger of La Nina on 2011 on February 3rd. But look how similar these are. You got the very warm you got warm temperatures there near Hawaii. And look at that, you get the very warm temperatures right now near Hawaii. Very similar here. You got the extremely cold temperature right here near the Mexico region. Let me actually get right here near the Mexico region right here in that little peninsula. Very cold temperatures right there in the deep peninsula. Look at these. You see a little warm spot there near off the Ecuadorian coast. You see those warmer temperatures off the Ecuadorian coast right here. It's a little things that make a big difference. Obviously, you have those very warm temperatures off the Oceania Pacific. There you see those warmer temperatures in the Oceania Pacific. Very similar. You got those extremely warm temperatures right now in the South Central Pacific near New Zealand. And there you got those very warm temperatures in the Southern Pacific near New Zealand. And this is 2011, of course. You see those extremely cold temperatures there in the Central Pacific. And there you got those extremely cold temperatures in the Central Pacific here. So we're seeing very similar conditions between now and 2011. It's very similar. You can kind of see those scattered warmer temperatures off the northwestern tip of South America. And there you got those scattered warmer temperatures off northwestern South America. So here's looking now at the annual severe weather report of 2011 here. This is every single report we saw in 2011 between January 1st and December 27th there. And look at all the things, all the events that occurred here. This can help give us a better idea of what can happen this year here, severe weather wise. So look at the tornadoes. We saw a lot of tornadoes in Dixie Alley when it came to 2011 here. We had a few tornadoes as well. I believe between May and June around the areas of the Midwest. And of course, we see a few tornadoes as well across portions of the East Coast here. But obviously, the hot spot for Dixie Alley in general is you see the hot spot was Dixie Alley in 2011, and usually on average is the hot spot in general. But there you see Alabama, Mississippi. This can help us give a better idea of what we can see this year, since the atmospheric conditions are just so similar to the extreme La Nina 2011, which brought one of the most active seasons in history. Really, yeah, kind of in history. Look at the wind reports. Almost some whole states are absolutely submerged with the wind reports. You don't see anything in Tennessee. You don't see anything in Ohio. You don't see anything for Georgia, Mississippi. The wind reports obviously it's quite common. And then large hail reports. A big event here across the plains. So you can kind of see the plains. It's more of a hail and wind damage threat. And then you see a few tornadoes here. But for Dixie Alley, you see everything here. Dixie Alley, you got the tornadoes here. You got obviously Alabama, far western Georgia, Mississippi, areas like Louisiana. Look at the wind. They get tornadoes, wind damage, and all the large hail reports here. So definitely something to keep in mind. This can help us give a better idea of what can happen this year. See, I guess you can say we have two peaks of the season. One happens in April, and then one happens in around May and then June here. But here's what we saw throughout the whole month. So let me actually move my mouse a little bit like that. So this is what we saw in every single month. So we had 82 total storm reports. 82 the total is storm reports, tornadoes, hail, and then you got winds here. You can kind of see tornadoes, hail, winds, and then this is just total storm reports. So obviously January was kind of a dead year. 82 totals in January 2011 here, but we saw 10 tornadoes. And guess what? So far this January, we've seen around 10 tornadoes. We saw 3 in one day in the Tallahassee, and we saw 2 yesterday. That's already a 5 alone. And then we saw we had one in Tennessee, one in Louisiana, one in Texas, and one in Arizona. So that's around 10 tornadoes we've seen so far this January, and that's rather active. We saw 9 hail reports in 2011 January 2011. We saw more than that this year, in 63 wind reports, and that we definitely did not get this year. But look at that, February blew up to 821 total storm reports, 61 tornadoes, and 96 hail reports, and 664 wind reports. That's definitely not something you see in February whatsoever. And look at March. We saw basically an early peak in 2011 here, near 1,200 storm reports, 95 tornadoes, 609 hail reports, and 500 wind reports. Think about that. We got more hail reports than wind reports. And look at that. Look at April, near 6,300 storm reports, near 900 tornadoes in 1 month, 2,100 hail reports, and 3,300 wind reports. So based on this, we've seen actually, I think we've basically tied January of 2011 so far this year. So does that mean we can get an early start by blowing up February, and then at that point just blowing up all the way up to August? Because August saw near 4,000 reports, 50 tornadoes, and even up to 1,000 hail reports here. But look at that. Look at April, May, June. April, May, and June absolutely blew up in 2011 here. And look at the states that got smashed here. I mean, look at all the tornadoes we saw in Alabama, near 200. You guys see Arizona got 7. Arizona got 3. But look at that, Iowa 68 there, and look near Mississippi. Mississippi got 162 tornadoes. Missouri 100 around there. North Carolina 113. I mean, look at that. Absolutely crazy. Texas 115. So basically the hotspot this year could very well be Texas, could very well be Tennessee, very well be Oklahoma, North Carolina, Nebraska, Missouri, Mississippi, as well even LA, Louisiana, or LA, Louisiana. 90 tornadoes in 2011 here, but definitely Alabama got the most tornadoes in 2011 here, so definitely something to keep in mind. Absolutely crazy. This information is very useful, but let's go ahead and look now at the reports we've seen so far that can help us tell us that we are on track already, not only based on the La Ninas and the SSTs, but we've actually already seen events that happened this year that are really showing us hints that this could be a kind of 2011. Obviously, maybe not beating 2011, but something like that. So obviously, one event is what happened on January 21st. January 27th, 2021. We saw 3 tornadoes in one day in one region here. And obviously, that's not something you see too common in January. You see 3 tornadoes in a day in general, and also in the same location. 15 wind reports and 0 hail reports here. So obviously, it's got to be well over 2-inch diameter to be a hail report. But 3 tornado reports in one day here. So that's already 3. That's already really close, or less than halfway towards the 10. But let's go ahead and show something else that just happened yesterday. Again, this happened yesterday as well. We saw 2 tornadoes in the exact same region here. So we've already seen 5 tornadoes in just 1 week so far in January. And then we saw a few, of course. We saw one in LA, Louisiana. We saw one in Texas. We saw one in Tennessee. So that's already 8. And I believe we saw one in Arizona. That's 9. So we are just one short to 2011 here, and that's absolutely crazy. This is already obviously not a huge outbreak, but it's January. We're seeing some events already occurring this year that happened throughout 2011 here in January of 2011. We saw 2 tornadoes in one day. We saw 3 tornadoes in one day so far this year. We got a hail report there in Missouri, so it's definitely something to keep in mind. Obviously, Oklahoma got around 98 tornadoes overall in 2011. Texas already got, I think I got like around 130. Mississippi, of course, around 150. So definitely keep something in mind. Obviously, Florida already saw 3. So definitely a little interesting that we've already seen already a few events throughout this month of the first month of 2021. We have seen a few severe weather events, not crazy, but of course 2011 didn't see anything crazy in January, but February of 2011 absolutely blew up. So can we see something next month as well, following 2011's footsteps? We're already seeing very similar atmospheric conditions, SSTs, and we've already seen similar events that have already proven to happen. So definitely have to keep in mind something for throughout this tornado season could be quite active. So this is now we're going to be seeing here the temperature anomaly here, the weekly temperature anomaly, and as you see, we're going to be seeing basically, of course, for severe weather, really the main thing you really want to have is really humid and warm temperatures. And if you really want to have a big severe weather event, you want to have a cold front to the north, which can help allow for tornadoes when it meets with the cold and warm air. But throughout the next week here, all the way up towards February 4th, we're going to be seeing some very warm temperatures across the central plains and central United States in general. So just automatically that we have warm fronts doesn't exactly mean we're going to see some severe weather. But obviously, once you have some low pressures coming off the general region here and some instability, this is when severe weather can occur here. So we're going to be ready to see some warm temperatures on the 4th and so basically the first week of February. So something to keep in mind that actually the GFS shows a severe weather event potentially occurring the same day here. So definitely some warm air can allow for some potential severe weather. And same thing, when you see cold fronts, obviously severe weather could occur because obviously averages could be warming up. But if there's a cold front and you really want a big severe weather event, that'll have to occur in the midsummer where the averages are like 90s. But something to keep in mind, when you have a cold front moving in behind with the warm front, it's going to allow for some squall lines, which are big wind events that can bring in some tornadoes, but the main threat is winds and hail here. So when you see like a low pressure following the squall of severe weather here, and it's going to develop off that backside of that cold front, that can allow for some big time squall lines here. And then once we get into March 11th, we start seeing some warm air according to the weekly across the eastern United States with some cold air moving towards the west. So obviously, when you have something like that, you definitely have to keep in mind for like these general areas when you have like a pattern like that. Obviously, this is a weekly; it's not going to be super accurate, but obviously it's something to keep in mind. And then here, look at the CFS monthly here. So the next month, and for February 2021, you had that cold air in general for the kind of the eastern United States, and some warm air across the south central. Obviously, we will have frequent warm fronts across Dixie Alley and the plains here. So when you start getting to now February and March, you really want to watch out for the central plains. Once you get near maybe April, that's when you really want to watch out for Dixie Alley. March, we're going to be seeing potentially, according to the CFS, some very warm air across the eastern and central United States. And if we have some frequent cold fronts coming from the west, could lead to some severe weather across this general region here. Obviously, could be something they really keep in mind. April looking very warm in general. That could lead to some potential severe weather. Same thing all the way to June, July, August, September. So we will definitely have to keep a potential very active severe weather event or severe weather season this year in mind.